seems to think that there's a spirit that's wandering that is looking for someone that may have been offed by one of these people, nefarious people, and is looking for trying to stick around on the earth plane until they find her body or solve the mysteries to where they disappeared to. I think sometimes spirits just stay on the earth plane just to see if they can contact certain people, so to lead them to, so that their families know what happened to them, so they're not left the rest of their lives wondering what happened to them.
Interesting.
Right. No.
And you know what else? There's not just been that serial killer. There's been a couple serial killers that have used a lot of land up and down there for dumping grounds throughout the years. And like you said, we only know so many of their victims, and of so many serial killers that have even been there. Who knows how many others have been there? And, you know, it could be a lost soul, could be residual. Maybe something happened there, and at just the right time, you happen to catch it. You know, it's hard to say.
Well, the time of the year scene, I talked to someone else that, from a paranormal standpoint, certain times of the year might generate the echoes of the past. Okay, so that's one of the strange things about time, and it gets back in the portals about the veil thinning, that there's a bleed through from other times that come through here. And my friend Anita's experienced many things. She'd be a good guest. Matter of fact, she is a guest on my show next week. But she talks about all this stuff, and it's just incredible.
Yeah, the portal is around there, too. Again, is that in the area where you've been seeing the little people, too?
Generally, of course, this other area was in a very remote spot. But in the one where we felt that there was a spirit wandering about, yes, we saw the little people, and there's an incredible amount of big... See, it seems like that wherever there's more paranormal activity, wherever the Bigfoots are, more or less, there's more paranormal activity, there's more of the little people sightings, and there's more of the spirits. They seem to find their way through the veil as well.
Interesting.
So,
well, hey, we're getting down to like the last 15 minutes. Again, why don't you plug where they can find your podcast? Besides your website, aren't you on a couple of the apps now?
Just Podbean right now. However, I have a domain now. If you go to, and it's tied to a web page that's off our community site, that you can directly go to listening to the podcast. It's already part of that page. If you go to if you go to greenwaternights.com, then you can find the program or my podcast. That's greenwaternights.com. Now, the Nights is not with an S at the end. That's a letter Z. So that's the only difference if you're trying to type that in. So check it out and go on there and listen to some of the programs. The next program that's going to appear will be 7 o'clock tomorrow and talking about interdimensional portals. And we're also on YouTube I'm posting the programs under the Planet Sasquatch YouTube channel, where I've done all my research in the beginning. And, of course, we broadcast live on our community radio station at greenwaterradio.com. So at the moment, those are the three channels that I'm using and it is, when, like you said, when you're doing everything yourself, it takes time to start organizing other social media outlets for your programs. Yeah, so I'm working very diligently to do that, trying to put the quality into everything. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but I feel very satisfied, especially with this upcoming episode, that it's just going to blow people's minds when they hear some of this information.
Well, I think,
and experiences from people.
I think that what you need to get out, because you have had a lot of experiences, both from little people, Bigfoot and other strange things out in that area. The portals is the one I really are very much interested in, because I think that's how we see some of these things, like UFOs get here, aliens get here. I think they use these portals.
Oh, yeah. There's matter of fact, and I will mention this one thing. When I was in this little special area where I see everything, this little section of woods called the Field of Dreams, that I call it. At night, I took my camera and pointed it straight up, and I had Anita, my friend, was with me, the psychic that I was referring to. And when I took the picture and took a look at it, there was multiple orbs that showed up. But what was really strange was there was a light screen that was square right above the trees, and it looked like a square portal opening. And it was hidden, but not until the light hits it. My theory is that when you have a flash from your camera, the orb or whatever cannot adjust to the light fast enough, and then it shows up.
Interesting.
So that's one of my theories about why the orbs show up on flash photos. Not to dismiss that there could have been like raindrops on the lens and all the other things like lens flare. I mean, I've covered all that before. So I separate out those issues. I know when it's a real orb versus those other things, you know.
Oh, yeah. Now, are you going to be covering also the little people here on one of your podcasts shortly?
Oh, yeah. The podcasts are going to be kind of theme-based because the interview is theme-based about the portal he went through. And so my whole discussion for the first hour is me talking along the same lines. So some episodes will be about the little people specifically, so it's going to be very theme-based for each episode.
Interesting. Now, James, you got a couple questions or anything to ask?
Do you have any future research investigation in the woods coming up that we can look forward to some results from?
It's just trying to find time to do everything. And, of course, we're starting to get more towards the time it's a little bit harder to do things because the rain is coming on now. And once the snow gets here, it's just going to be more about going back on previous research to dig for things I didn't see before. So I'm kind of missing my window of opportunity. The spring and summer are the best times to do everything because you can really go out, like especially in the woods and camp and look for these things.
Also, have you ever noticed a correlation with some migration with animals and the increase in sightings? Do they kind of coincide?
I haven't really noticed that in particular. No, it's just, and of course you got to understand that in my research, it isn't about me going and looking in different areas like some of these shows do. We have established areas where we're like contactees, basically. And these areas, once they got your number, they know we're going to go back in these areas, and they always try to manifest themselves through sound or some kind of signs, or sometimes in the weirdest ways. So there's two particular research areas that I go to. One's not about a quarter mile from my cabin. The other one's about 6 or 7 miles from here. And once the snow comes, and I'm missing that opportunity to go there. But I always have the one that I call the Field of Dreams nearby here.
Interesting.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, really. So they pretty much get to know you over time, and maybe you can get more evidence or whatnot, or put more pictures of them probably.
I will say this one thing. The very bizarre thing about this, since I'm in close company with a circle of friends, and that's one of the focuses of the Greenwater Nights program, is that we're all experiencing these things at the same time. It's almost like they got all of our numbers, and they are increasing their activity and exposing us to all this weirdness all the time. It isn't just a once a year event. It's a continuous thing that's happening now.
You think they're reaching out to humans for a reason?
Oh, absolutely. They're not reaching out to all humans because I know that's not possible. They have kind of screened us, basically, how we act and everything, and have got to know this particular circle of friends, and I think they're reaching out to our group. Yeah. To communicate further.
Right. Well, they get to know you and trust you a little bit more. They probably communicate a little more
I think
as time
that's
goes on.
The reason why, right, and that's the reason why they're showing up in pictures, because they also have a comfort level with trusting me that these pictures aren't going to be used for nefarious purposes in ridiculing them or causing hunters to come out and look for them, because one of the things I don't do is publicly try to mention where these locations are. Now, if you want to contact me and come up here, we'll take a walk up to that area, and I'll give you the nickel tour of where a lot of these events have taken place. And sometimes I like to bring psychics up the trail because they have that extra ability to be able to sense things. And I have done that before, and they do sense additional things that I'm finding,
Right.
Interesting.
Wow. It is, especially that one picture you had. That the one of the little guy looks like he had a hat and actually a beard on a pipe. I thought that was amazing.
Oh yeah,
picture.
that little. Actually, what that was, I know we're getting close to the end of the program here, but that was on a log, and it's almost like he was two-dimensional. And when I took the picture and was able to enhance it a little bit with some, and I didn't change it, I just enhanced the color on it a little bit. You could see the hat, you see the face, and what the bizarre thing was, where the pipe was, that the smoke was coming out exactly where the pipe looked like it was, And I find a lot of those little beings. I mean, there are probably treasure troves of these little beings in my pictures from the past. I just don't have the time to keep going back. Every time I go back and look at a previous picture, there's a new thing I'm finding. So, there you go.
I still like the
endless research.
I like the one that looked like it had a helmet on, and some
that was one of my shocking things when I finally decided the little people were real, because that was not an anomaly. That was real. Man, I could see the little guy with the golden helmet on his head. And that really freaked me out. And then I found more after that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to cut you here. I got a little bit we got to do after that. I want to thank you for also on your community station carrying Night Dreams Talk Radio after dark. And hopefully I'll see you this Sunday at my studio.
Okay, will do.
Okay.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks, James.
Okay, Sam. Bye.
You take care, Sam.
See y'all. Bye.
Night. So anyway, are you going to have a good weekend, James?
Yes, I am. It's mandatory. I have to have a good weekend because I control me, and it's going to happen.
Well, good. I'm going to try to have one, but you know how my situation is. I don't know from minute to minute what is going on, but I can say next week we got everything from talking about UFOs, talking about cryptics, and a whole bunch of, interesting guests on all next week, all coming, all through October. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. And the last week of October on our show, we're going to have ghost stories, talking about monsters. I'm going to try to get Tobias back on. I'm going to try to get Jason Offit back on to talk more about, monsters across the country, but more of the scary ones, not the, reports, but ones that might be a little bit scary. And we're going to talk all about, cryptics and scary monsters, black-eyed children, things like that. Mothman, do they exist? Sure, a lot of reports about Mothman all across the country lately. You know that, James.
Oh, every day I hear something about an Owlman, Mothman, or flying humanoids all over the country. You're right. And, I've got several cases I went on I haven't told yet. I've been saving up for the scare of the last week. Let me just say that.
Okay, well, hopefully they're scary, not you just crunching away on those sugar frosted flakes like you do.
Oh, no. This is scary. This is like sugar frosted flakes with no sugar or flakes. It's scary. Believe me.
Well, I got to guess it's going to be talking about black-eyed children, too, coming up before Halloween, and talking about different, cases of black-eyed children, all from the UK and the United States. How, all of a sudden, like a guy going out at a mall, he's off work, going to get to his car, and there's a couple children, black-eyed children, and it's pouring down rain, and they're begging to come in the car. The first thing he notices that their eyes are black, and they're asking some weird questions, and, that's not normal. And he decided not to let him in the car because he just felt if he did, well, maybe he wouldn't have survived.
Right, and I just got a story today, just a little bit ago, while we were on the air, about black-eyed people on top of the black-eyed children. So that's going to be interesting. I'll have to look into that later. But, where are they coming from, what they are, I don't know. Now, I have been on cases where I've seen people's eyes go all black, and that's not a good thing. I'm going to say this. If you see somebody's eyes go all black, that is a red flag. It's all downhill from there. Trust me on that one.
Well, there's people injecting dyes and dyeing their eyes black, but if they go from white to black, you don't want to be around. Trust me, you want to get out of there.
That's what I'm saying. It's going to get hairy when you see, and I've seen that, and I got to tell you, it stops you in your tracks when you see that firsthand.